What's up YouTube, this is Lucas with Foxhot Gaming, and we are going to be going over the KC report that just released for the World Qualifiers 2017. The final qualifiers, to be exact. Now, I like these in particular because they're hard confirmed data. We don't have to speculate anything, so we can really compare what we thought the meta was looking like to what it actually was. And then we can compare it to what we know worked well and kind of figure out where the meta's heading. Anyways, let's look at the top skills. To no surprise, Harpy's Hunting Ground was the first. Everyone said that this was going to be the deck to beat, and lo and behold, it was. If you ran a good deck, you ran a deck that could deal with it. And most played as well. And not surprisingly, 3-star Emotion was the second most use. From what I could tell as far as performance, I know 3-star Emotion. I know a lot more high rankings that played 3-star Emotion more than Harpy's Hunting Ground. I think Harpy's Hunting Ground wasn't too good of a choice just because it had a big target on its head. Which actually brings us as well to the third highest, Parasite Infestation. Just Weevils on the account of beating Harpies. And let's go down to fourth. So Duel Standby. Must have been a lot of Taya Burn. Honestly, I didn't play against that many, but they must have been there. And fifth, Mind Scan. I actually did play a lot of Mind Scan, like Sergeant Electro meta type decks, so I'm not surprised to see this here. And then 6th through 10th, we kind of have a lot of random. Last Gamble not being a prime choice, likely because even when it's running well, it just drops games just through RNG. Restart being so low. This was a shocker to me. With Gravekeepers using it mostly, Relinquished using it, I thought that since there were so many archetypes that used it, that it would have gone higher, but Gravekeepers and Relinquished must have really not been favored here at all. Not counting the Harpy's Hunting Ground Relinquished, of course. So let's go into monsters. Sphere Karibo. Since the KC Cup, that was the top used monster, if I recall, and things seem to not have changed. Am I surprised? Yes. Not that it topped tier, but just that it claimed the #1 spot. Sphere Karibo ranges from okay to absolutely amazing, depending upon what deck you're using. Relinquished and Venus in Rise use this the best, and with the drop in Relinquished, I'm really surprised that we had this many Sphere Karibos being played. Of course, it's a good card, and I think a lot of players felt comfortable splashing it in any deck, so that's likely where it got its wide usage from. But let's move on. I think it's clear what the community's favorite pick is. 4-star Ladybug, a lot of Harpies running around, a lot of beatdown decks. Honestly, a lot of Sergeant Electro, as we're going to see. So, no doubt, saw a lot of play. Then we've got Harpies cards here. Sergeant Electro. I know I used this in my 3-star Demotion deck. I'm sure other 3-star Demotion machine decks also used it. Guns Blazing, and I think the second place also used some sort of machine demotion. I played one, and I love 3 Sergeant Electro. But other than that, a lot of clowns being played from what it looked like on my side, so I could see this seeing a lot of play in all the anti-meta decks going around. But it got over normal Harpy Lady. I'm looking at that thinking something's gotta be not right with that, but hey, I trust them with their data collection. So now we've got Dunams, the 1800 beater, Legion, most likely in the Dark Magician archetype with 3-star Emotion, and there we have it. And then we've got Weevil and the Panda here. Now, Yomi Ship. This was, in my opinion, an overperformer in this past World's Qualifiers. It did a lot of things and it hit a lot of decks. There wasn't as much relinquish, so you didn't have to worry about your set card getting sucked up too much. So I think it was a definite sleeper. The only problem is what deck could really abuse it. Not many. There was Mako, which was a fine deck, but I don't think it was a top performer. Now, before you say, hey, someone topped in this region with a Mako deck, yeah, I'm aware of that, but I don't think Mako was a top performer just in general, but if he saw a lot of success, I definitely attribute a lot of it to this card in particular. So then we have Relinquished. So the top chosen Relinquished deck must have been Harpy's Hunting Ground if Restart was so low. So makes sense. Barrel Dragon. So definitely Barrel Dragon was played less than Dark Magician Demotion, so that's interesting. But as far as 7-star goes, I don't think it should be a surprise that this was the weapon of choice in the non-Dark Magician versions. Maybe even in some Dark Magician versions. Who knows? Harpy Lady 2, Possessed Dark Soul. I'm surprised that even made it here. And Gaia the Swift Fierce Knight. So Balance Handless was under the radar. It didn't even show up in the top frequently chosen skills. But man, did this card do damage. I know plenty of top ranking players used it. Decayed, I believe Guns Blazing used it as well. I used it, it got rank 13. So very good deck in this meta. Very amazing. Very underplayed, as we can see. Alright. Surprise, enemy controller is the #1 used spell and trap card here. This shouldn't be a surprise at all. Has a change battle position primary effect and can just end the game randomly on secondary use. So a lot of ways to use this card and just absolutely amazing. So shouldn't be a surprise at all. Windstorm. A lot of Harpies. This card's good against Harpies. Next, Mirror Wall. Obviously, if there's a lot of Harpies, there's a lot of mid-range grind and beatdown going. Mirror Wall wins those. It's just whenever the opponent's forced to ask you if you have a Mirror Wall and you have it, that's a lot of times game. Now, Wild Tornado. Obviously sees play in Balance, Handless, Last Gamble, and a lot of Harpies decks, honestly. And it's just good against Harpies in general. So it's no doubt that this saw a lot of play. 4th, though. That's considerable, especially considering Supremacy Berry was 5th behind Wild Tornado. So this card was very versatile, ended up being one of the best meta calls you can make in it for a lot of decks. Order to Charge, seeing so low on the list. So obviously probably got regulated to a 2 of in a lot of Harpies decks, but I would have expected it to be probably over Wild Tornado, but that's probably because I'm underestimating the latter. Alright, then we've got the Weevil Burning Lands, probably Taya Burning Land to Dimension Gate. This card scared a lot of Gravekeeper's players off. Gave more answers to Relinquished. Harpies, a lot of Harpies decks were running it. Balance Handless was running it. 3-star Demotion, a lot of them were running it. It's just, it fills in a hole for a lot of decks that they didn't previously have. And it's still a meta call card. There was a lot of times when this was a good meta call, this tournament. Of course, for Balance, it's just 3 of no matter what, but most decks it's meta call. Then we have Dark Magician here, Weevil deck here, 3-star Demotion and Gravekeepers, Weevil, Security Orb. A cost-efficient way to hate out Harpies. A lot of decks, like my 3-star Emotion Machine version, I had a lot of issues with Harpies with the build. So I put 3 of these in there, and those bad matchups turned around. I'm sure a lot of people found the same with their brews or even their meta decks. It's pretty good when you're going into a Harpy meta. Optimal in every deck? No. But for like clowns, 3-star Emotion, machines, I found it amazing. Storm, amazing card. Definitely underrepresented here for how well it performed. Relinquish, Dark Magician, Soul Exchange. Oh, So a Gravekeeper's card made it here. Of course, it's noteworthy that a lot of decks ran Soul Exchange, not just Gravekeepers, but most were pretty rogue. Still, powerful card. 17th shows it was pretty popular. Metal Morph. Pretty interesting meta call here for your beatdown decks for dealing with 3-star Emotion, and in a lot of grindy games against other similar, like mid-rangey, grind-fest beatdown decks, it can act as a mirror wall a lot of times. So, underrated card, I thought, but 18th sounds about right. Then Sage's Stone somehow got below Metal Morph. That's very interesting. And then Nobleman of Extermination, not a bad card, but probably the most rogue one of you can come up with. Anyways, so what did you think about that? Were you surprised? Did anything underperform? Was something not as popular as you thought it would be? Let me know. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.